All right, we're recording. This is Avatar Legends: The Blooming Lotus session, or rather, episode 2. Uh, Spirits. Who would like to give the recap?
So we after a description of our characters, we basically all started out in the vicinity of Naopi looking for the man with missing toes and hoping he wasn't wearing shoes that day. And then we did find him, and I'm blanking on his name, but we found him in all sort of in varying degrees of code. Told him that we were interested in joining the Red Lotus. We then went back to his dwelling to discuss that in more detail. He then explained to us that there were all sorts of problems going on in the town. That the military. I think the military from Zalfu, or was it from Omashu?
It's from Zalfu.
So they had more or less taken control over of the town and had a camp outside the town. Several people who had dissented were taken into custody and were being held probably in the camp. And we decided we were basically going to go and spring them. At the time, we sort of imagined that the military leader, Gunshaw, probably was corrupt and was, because there was also rumors of people essentially just looting from people in the town, like individual soldiers. So we decided we were going to infiltrate the camp and find these people and release them, and maybe put Gunshaw in his place. So at that point, Gage, my character, had the idea to create fake credentials with our non-existent forging skills so that one of us could pretend to be some sort of official. Since it was my idea, my character went and created the forgeries and just decided that Sakcha was going to be the assistant minister of technology in Zalfu. So, and just, here on a fact-finding mission kind of thing. So we, armed with those fake credentials, we went out and first questioned a soldier, and the credentials worked brilliantly that one time. And then we decided, we found out where the camp was, so we went out to there. At first we were sort of on the outskirts, like there was a whole thing about how we wanted to just observe the camp for a while, but there was no building to hide in. So we wound up going to the outskirts of the camp where they were digging latrines, where they had people digging latrines. While Gage kind of distracted the people digging latrines, pretending to be, again, like part of an envoy on a fact-finding mission. Everyone else sort of observed the camp and the goings-on. We managed to figure out where Gunshaw was, in what tent he was. So we went over there essentially and just asked to speak to Gunshaw, as I remember it. We also learned that the people who he was holding captive, the prisoners, were all in a separate tent that was essentially across from Gunshaw's tent. Speaking with Gunshaw, he more or less immediately realized that we were not government officials, or that Sakcha was not a government official. And at that point, my character got a little hot under the collar and explained to him that when the revolution comes, people like him are going to be the first to be assassinated in the name of freedom and liberty. And at that point, I was fully expecting we were going to have to take out Gunshaw. But, Tony, what's your character's name? I'm blanking. Right. Uras gave a sort of weirdly passive-aggressive talking to Gunshaw, telling him essentially that if he tries to take us on, bad things will happen to him. And it worked. Gunshaw took the warning and immediately began sort of lamenting his position in this town and how nobody listens to him, and he doesn't really like the mayor. He doesn't like interacting with him. Apparently the mayor's very annoying. And so he's more or less just locked himself up in his own camp because he just doesn't like dealing with all of these hostile villagers. But that he's not necessarily of, completely ill will, and he seems to have no direct knowledge of the soldiers robbing people. So we talked to him, and he seemed amenable to letting all of these prisoners go, since all they did really was criticize the military in the village. And then he let us go. So we went over, informed the prisoners that they were going to be let go shortly, and Sakcha's ward was there. So we broke open her platinum handcuffs, and then we were taking her out and going to go back to our contact's house. Oh, and my character, while he was questioning the guards, or the workmen, tried to sabotage the latrines and failed miserably. And so now, when the latrines fail, they're going to send torrents of whatever it is they're collecting, essentially right at the town.
Well, the latrines failed, and you were going to sabotage the latrines, but you failed it. So you ended up fortifying the latrines.
Okay.
And yeah, they worked better than before. Yeah, I think they're running.
Well, I'm the assistant to the assistant minister of technology. Of course, I've improved the latrines.
Right. Still helping, nothing of it.
Another thing about Gunshaw was Gunshaw also mentioned that so he didn't quite mention that he had no knowledge of he didn't say that he had no knowledge of the soldiers robbing villagers for food. There were a few instances that he thought were one-offs that he dealt with, but he didn't realize it was still going on. Now he also mentioned that the food's in short supply because there's been because there has been spirit attacks far ranging across Earth Kingdom. They've hit a lot of farms and it's slowed down. It's slowed the production of food down. So there's just been less food being sent. He did somewhat mockingly because he knew that he's seen Gunshaw has seen enough documentation to know like what a real missive looks like. So that's why he saw through the forged papers. But he also suggested going back to somewhat jokingly going back to Zaofu and telling them to give him a better answer other than less food.
Right, we were thinking about that. I was thinking at least that maybe we would be the ones to go and tell them they need to handle this, or we investigate why the spirits are attacking food shipments. Also, Ura tried to. I tried to seek advice from Ura, and Ura tried to tell me to be like less passionate, and I told him to shut up, old man, because he didn't roll very well.
He clearly misunderstood what I was trying to teach him.
Yeah. And I think that's where the house, Mike, for your benefit, that's where a house rule that we're gonna pilot and see how it goes is that if you roll a critical fail, that you take a condition.
Okay.
That'd be 2 1s. So
Yeah, I rolled double ones. It was fucking brutal.
Yeah.
After rolling everybody rolling amazing the whole fucking night. One good like potential character building. That happened.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes.
And we didn't really learn that much about the ward, so I don't really remember anything about him or her. I'm not even sure.
Yeah, one of the villagers that was in the tent. So in the tent that was in the encampment, there were 2 men and 2 boys, like a teenager and a preteen, and a teenage girl. And one of the other villagers did mention that her name like Kaya in surprise. So she would have told you that her name is Kaya, and she was going back to her house now that she's been let go to talk to her parents. Peter,
And Ura had a fox he was gonna potentially prepare for dinner.
That's right.
And Peter, if you want to keep Kaya as your ward, we can definitely roll with that. And that was kind of like a fill-in because Mike, we weren't sure if you were going to be able to make it or not.
Yep.
But if you want to treat Jijin as your ward or take him on, like we can also roll with that too.
I think we'll just roll with Kaya for now, and then it can change at any point. So.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, probably better that we meet Zizian to determine if he ever even needs a guardian.
That's fair. Okay.
I'm looking forward to the day when we have the conversation where we let Kaya go. Sorry, Kaya, but it's just not working out. I can't take care of you anymore.
Yeah. Go find your way home on your own. Okay.
Too much of a drag. Smell bad. Go away.
I just wanted to throw that out there. So at this point, it's late afternoon, and you're back at Taka's in his hut. He's drinking a cup of hot water. He calls it tea, but you don't see any leaves or anything in it. And he basically, like, kind of where we ended last time is he mentioned that he was going to get more information about what the cause behind, or get more information on what might be causing these spirits to attack farms, because this was new information, like, for him. But it's going to take him some time because he has to reach out to his contacts, and there's a feedback loop there. So he offered.
I believe he also said he was going to try to find actual credentials so we could see what they looked like.
He did say that as well. So it's late afternoon. It's probably like 5 o'clock or so at this point, and we're gonna cut to Jixin, or Jijin, sorry.
Jijin.
Jijin, from where did you come from, and where did you come from? How long have you been traveling, and like what brought you? Like what is Jijin looking for in the Red Lotus, and also what does he look like, or what do they look like?
Jijin is there a way that I can share, or you know what, I can post it like in the chat, so I'll just post a picture in the chat. of what he looks like. But he is a fairly young guy, probably not just barely. He's about 17-ish, with green eyes, dark hair, and he also has a rough look about him. It's clear he's got a couple of scars, and he's somewhat dirty. And he has been he spent most of his life traveling all around the world with his family, and he kind of got sick of that at one point and settled down in a backwater place in the Earth Kingdom. Then that was well, actually no, he was probably more like a medium-sized city, maybe not as big as Omashu or Ba Sing Se, but um, large enough to have like a seedier kind of side to it. And he spent a lot of time kind of living by his own rules, living off the streets and his wits. And he had a friend that he associated with who kind of was a bit older and took him under his wing, so to speak. And his friend was always talking about the Red Lotus and the things that the Red Lotus could do. And Jijin has a lot of experience understanding the corruption of the Earth Kingdom, and so really took to the idea of the Red Lotus returning power to the people, and also restoring balance because they are like involved in trying to address the issue with the spirits. And so at some point, Jijin's friend was jailed, and he decided to use his wits to find clues and discover his own way to finding a contact that would lead him to the Red Lotus. And he could further kind of honor his friend who's lost his freedom, while also living by his own ideals of trying to restore the power to the people. I don't know. Is there anything else that you?
How
Need
long
from it?
has from where how long has Jijin been traveling?
So, like I said, his childhood, he traveled around the world a lot with his family, just because of his dad's interests. But about 5 years ago, probably, he ran away because he was just sick of the way that his family treated him and looked down upon him. And so at that point, that's when he kind of settled down into this city, this moderately sized city, where he felt like he could kind of make his own way and be his own man.
Gotcha. So is Jijin living in Naopi then?
Yeah,
Okay.
that would make sense.
Okay. So Jijin, it's 5 o'clock, and it's 5 o'clock in the evening. So Naopi is under Naopi is a mining town that is one of the main ore mines or iron mines that is used used by Zalfu. So this is kind of one of the prized communities for that resource. So you're used to this, but you see a lot of there's always a good number of guards, like patrols, and it's pretty well fortified as far as by the military presence. The town itself is maybe a few, if maybe a few hundred people. It's not like a massive settlement. Definitely more on the rural side. As far as the demographic makeup, it tends to be poor, more labor and agrarian, or at least some agrarian. But you do get merchants that set up in like the main quads, hawking their wares and kind of fresh produce, fresh grains, and as well as artisanal goods. So I would imagine, since Jijin lives here, I would imagine that he'd probably spend a lot of time out in like kind of the city center, which is like an open grassy lot, and that's kind of where the action is in this town, and where most people who coming to and from gather.
That makes sense.
So you saw a group. There was a group of strangers. There were people that rather you haven't seen in town. One of them wears like a long flowing white robe. A long white robe with a tool, like a kind of a belt that contains various pouches and sashes, and they look the most out of place. but they are with like this is generally a fairly motley crew from what you've seen um, with them. So there was this person. There was an old man who was wearing a very very strange garb in the sense that it looked like it was looked like it was very out of fashion. Like it would have been popular in the Fire Nation like 100 years ago.
Right, we established that the hipsters in Republic City wear this sort of old-fashioned, out-of-date Fire Nation clothing all the time. So it's in style.
Yeah.
Yep.
Vintage.
It's vintage in Republic City, but Republic City's trends may not have made it this far yet.
So this is clearly a hipster poser.
Yeah. And
He's like 1,000 years old.
and get a picture of Gage.
Gage probably wouldn't look out of place. He looks like his clothes were probably really fancy at one point, but they're pretty worn and threadbare at this stage. But otherwise, he looks very much like a typical Earth Nation citizen, like pretty tan skin, brown eyes, brown hair, squat, like short but like thickly built.
Okay.
So you see this motley crew, and they're coming out of the north entrance of town, and they duck into through some of the buildings. So like this town to set the scene. A lot of the houses and dwellings are earthen, like I would say more like traditional like earthen single room or 2-room villa like huts. Like they're not necessarily big or elaborate. Most of them
Utilitarian.
Yeah, they're utilitarian. Most people can only afford the basics as far as like furniture and luxuries go. The city hall, or what would constitute a city hall, is slightly bigger in that it has 2 floors. But
Really moving on up there.
yeah, they're really raising the stakes. So they're being led by somebody you've seen around town, at least for the past few months anyway. They are a panhandler, and at least what you've seen them, they're always sitting around somewhere around the quad, the market square, and shaking down or asking people, passerbys, for change or food. So you see them being led by this handhandler, and looking at his feet, you would notice that he's missing a toe on each foot. I'd imagine that you heard at some point that there was a contact here since you've been here for a while, but perhaps you heard recently or you heard a while ago. But you would know that this would be a person that could point you into joining or point to more information about the Red Lotus.
Based on that, I think that probably Jijin would have known this guy for a while, at least seen him around. But after his friend was thrown in prison, that's when he started looking into the Red Lotus. That's when he kind of learned that guy's association, and now has reason to actually talk to the guy.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, we can definitely roll with that. So you see them ducking. You see them kind of take the back ways through the buildings as they kind of disappear from the main drag.
So Jijin would probably be a little torn now whether he wants to talk to this guy or these strangers that he's seen. Wait, did he see the strangers interacting with this guy?
They didn't look like they were talking, but they looked like they were together.
Okay, so the panhandler is going through the alleys with them?
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, Jijin would use his knowledge of the city to follow and kind of try to discreetly see where they're going and what they're up to.
Okay. So you follow them back to a kind of a nondescript building that looks a lot like the others, and they sit inside. They sit inside the main room, and I'd say you'd be able to like peer through like one of the open windows, and you see that this is a 2-room structure. There's like one room in the front and then the doorway and a room in the back, and they're sitting in the main room, and you can hear them talking, and they're talking about. I mean, when you guys are recounting, kind of giving a report of when you're giving a report of the events at the military camp, were you being discreet?
I assume we would wait until we got back.
Yeah, like when you're talking at his house or at the house, are you like are you being loud, or were you kind of talking in hushed tones?
I mean, I didn't realize there were even like large windows, but I mean, if there are windows, I suppose I would try to keep it down.
Okay. Yeah, there are. I wouldn't say they're like large, but they're they're not like bay windows by any means, but there are places to let light come
I
through.
mean, I guess like did it seem like the area he was in is busy or unbusy? If it looks like unpopulated or rarely traveled, I would be less concerned.
It is not very populated. It's kind
So
of
I would
like
probably
that
just be
now.
talking at a normal conversational tone.
Okay.
Yeah, I got no reason to try and be super discreet. I thought we were alone.
Right.
Yeah. So Jijin, you would hear you'd hear this group talk about they'd be talking about something about confronting Gun Shah, which is you would know Gun Shah as to be the sergeant, a sergeant in the Zafu military who's in charge of this particular region, the military command in this region, and he's been in Naopi for about 2 weeks or so. So yeah, you would know that he's there's been a lot of rumor, like he's not looked very favorably upon, or he hasn't been, because of the soldiers. Some of his soldiers have been stealing food, and they're blaming the military, and so people have been hoarding food, and there's generally like food's been kind of tough to get. So yeah, there's a lot of anger and frustration towards the Gun Shah and the Zafu soldiers right now. So you hear
And they've been locking up dissenters.
that too. So yeah.
So, is this something that's already happened in the past, or is this in real time now?
This would be real time. So
Okay.
they're sitting there, and you hear them recounting their events, and recounting the events that happened in the camp.
So, probably what I envision is this is another one of those like mud huts.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Jijin would use his earthbending to just kind of poke out very small things that he could step on to keep himself close to the wall and kind of get closer to the window and be able to hear. Kind of not from under it, but from like the side.
Mm-hmm.
And I imagine that he would be leaning in close, and then because he's not a very good earthbender, the steps weren't very strong and crumbled, and he accidentally tumbles in through the window in front of everybody. Oh, hi guys. Good day. Sorry to fall in like this.
What are you? Who are you? And more importantly, what have you heard?
Well, I'm Jijin. I've seen you around before. All of you seem new, but I heard, and then he kind of looks around and he kind of like exaggerates and goes, "I heard you might be with the Red Lotus."
Nope, no Red Lotus here. That's illegal.
What is your intention with the Red Lotus?
I've been looking to join up.
So I mean, I would want to assess the situation because he could be a spy for the
Right.
man.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely.
He looks absolutely like he's not a spy for the man, which is suspicious.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah,
That was too accidental to be an accident.
yeah. Roll for creativity. It's a hit. So you get to ask one question.
Let's see. So, I guess I don't know how to ask this in character in this situation.
Assess the situation is, it's not in character. It is like player to GM.
I see.
So it's
So
an opportunity to metagame, right?
Yeah.
yeah, I want to know who or what is the biggest threat to this kid.
Who or what is the biggest threat to this kid?
Right. I'm trying to figure out: are we actually his enemy, or would the military be his enemy, or somebody else?
Who or what is the biggest threat to this kid?
Well, I could answer that since I know, and it was a success. Do you want me to answer that, Dustin?
Sure.
The man.
There you go. Yeah, all a little silly because I am aware that he is probably not secretly a spy. Although that would be kind of an awesome start of the game if the spy joined the party.
Yes. You guys are trying to change the Red Lotus from within. The spy is trying to change you from within to more align with the Red Lotus.
Right.
Yeah.
Or you're like secretly with the White Lotus looking to infiltrate the Red Lotus.
I'm going to watch our new friend.
I think we can trust him. He looks like just the sort of person we might need.
It's the spirit. Just looking to join up. Here to help you.
It's a spirit.
It's an
And
expression,
I will,
man.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm not from around here.
So I will extend a hand to help the kid up and say, I'm Gage Cision.
Gage. Thanks for the hand.
Where are you from? What's your name? Who is your daddy and what does he do?
I don't want to talk about my dad.
That's fair.
That's not really any of your business. And that's the first time that you kind of see him drop his like the smiley type of face that he tends to have. But after a moment, it pops back up, and he says, "But like I said, my name's Jijin."
That'll be confusing.
So, I think we could use your talent. And if they like you, well, then you're more than welcome to join. I am Taka. And though we may have seen each other in passing, I think I remember you. Did you give me an orange one time?
What?
Did you give me an orange one time? I remember getting an orange from someone who looked like you.
Maybe. I mean, I've probably stopped and given you some coin or some food at some point. You know, it's not fair when people can't afford what they need.
Yeah, gotta have your oranges. Prevent that scurvy.
Oh, a good deed doesn't go unrewarded. So let's retire to the back room.
Seems like we should have started there.
Well,
I'm gonna look out the window. Anyone else here? You'll be able to patch that up? Is it? No, I guess it's not glass. What's the window like?
I imagine it's just open.
Okay.
Fair.
Yeah. Okay. Like tear down a curtain by accident.
He, when you ask him, when you ask him, is anyone else there? You see him put his hand on the ground, and he says, "I think the coast is clear."
Very good.
So how are we going to figure out if Gunshot let his prisoners go? You going to ask around? We don't even know necessarily the names, although I guess Sakcha knows that girl, so she probably knows who these people are.
As you move
If he
into
doesn't,
yeah, go
yeah,
on.
if he hasn't released them in like a day, we also have to figure out how we retaliate.
As you move into the back, he closes the door again, and says, in dropping his facade. Well, he said that he would. Gunshot promised, for what it's worth, that he would release them in a day, so we could sit and wait, and see if he lives up to his word. And if he doesn't, well, I'm assuming if he doesn't, then they will be on high alert in the camp, or maybe they will be on high alert on the camp to be prepared for any offensive countermeasure for not following orders, or for not living up to their promise.
We might be able to keep an eye on them at least. How long do you think it'll take to get more information on these spirits?
We operate on one thing you should know is that we operate on a need-to-know basis. So convincing some of the other operatives what you need to know is in fact correct can take time. As also, we're quite dispersed, and on purpose for security reasons.
Sure.
But I expect I should be able to hear something within a week, at the most.
Is there somebody we can go talk to ourselves?
He looks at you, and kind of gives a an expressionless face and says, "I'm afraid not."
Figured it might speed things
Unfortunately.
along.
Yeah, unfortunately, wouldn't do us any good at the moment to take any further action against the military because that might prevent them from releasing the prisoners. Can't assassinate the mayor yet because that might create its own problems. So I think we just have to hold tight until we discover if Gunshot's going to do what he promised or not at the moment. If there's anything else we can do to further the Red Lotus's cause, we might as well start planning for that.
I don't mind watching over the camp.
So the layout of the camp, like I know there was nowhere super convenient for us to hide, but like is it just like a flat plain? Like I imagine this area, if because of the mining, has to be fairly mountainous.
Yeah.
So like I said, I'm not sure what the layout was really like around it. It feels to me like if it's high up, there's probably still like a place we could go to look up and just generally see what's going on, at least at the outskirts, maybe not the whole thing. And if there's a higher elevated position, we could go there and look down on the camp. But I wasn't clear on like where specifically they were.
Yeah. The camp is off the road. It's kind of like a flattened out plateau of sorts. You'd be able to like there would be an elevated position, like you could go like higher up on the mountain and overlook the town and the camp from that point.
So I would begrudgingly say the old man has a point. We probably should at least keep tabs on what's going on there. Maybe by observing, we'll figure out if we do need to assault the camp, the best way to do it.
Hopefully it doesn't
Well, you guys
come to
don't mess
that.
around. You're talking about assaulting the camp?
I hope we don't have to. Perhaps just another reminder to the old general guy. Let's watch him. Make sure the prisoners get released.
Yeah, for now, we just watch. That's best. If they do what they promised, then we don't really have any reason to be hostile towards them.
Does this village not have any farms at all? Is it only mining?
There are some farms. In the area, but the main export here is mining. So like this, I guess I was picturing that like this mining town isn't like at the top of a mountain or near the top. It's kind of like on the lower foothills, and so there's still some like woods and like arable land, much like mines. Like some mines are not like high up, but they're just like holes in the ground. But yeah, so I imagine like this mining town is like near foothills. So yeah, there are like some farms around the area, and like the road going through the town and going out has like this cleared out space, and that's where like the camp is at.
But it's probably I don't know what time of year it is either, or when it's going to get dark. But I was about to say it's probably going to get dark soon, so no sense going and spying on the camp tonight.
Yeah, it's about at this point it's like 5:15, 5:30. It's gonna get dark. It should get dark in another hour or so.
At some point, I'm going to need to look into earning some cash because I don't have any at the moment. It'll be good to have jobs anyway, so people understand why we're here. Otherwise, we'll sort of stick out. The town's too small for people not to realize there's a bunch of strangers who don't have jobs. Suppose we could follow Taka, just sit in the street with our cups, ask for change.
It works pretty well. At least keeps a low profile. People tend to not look down or pay much notice to beggars. Though I don't know if your friend here, and he like gestures to Sakshik, if that would quite work. He stands out a bit in his garb.
I mean, seems like a skilled artisan of some sort. I'm sure he can find some work. Pulled off the Minister of Technology bit pretty well. So he seemed to know what he was talking about. He may have it easier than any of the rest of us in finding work. I say, looking at the incredibly old man. Age discrimination isn't illegal here, man.
Yeah. Ain't too proud to beg.
Why are you guys looking for work?
Because at some point I'm going to want to be able to buy food and not just thumb off of Taka here. But also, my understanding is we're going to be assigned here for a while, and we want to blend in.
I mean, suppose you could do that. I haven't had a job in, well, I've never had a job. I just kind of pick from the pockets of the military around here. Pretty good at not getting caught, at least so far.
Okay. Can I use suspicious minds? I'm going to ask our new friend a couple questions.
Sure.
I've been studying him long enough.
Sure. And you, just for Mike's benefit, can you post the
Move.
the move in the chat? Yeah.
Yep. Oh man,
Oh,
he's a tricky
right.
one.
We can't see it.
Oh yeah, you have the die set to private or self roll.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I had to do a ward roll in the beginning, so I did that just so. But yeah, that was a complete miss. I'm not sure about this kid.
Like double ones miss?
No, not a double ones miss. No.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So yeah, you just can't figure them out. They are stumping you.
I just can't see past that charming smile.
Yeah.
And there's a ting.
Udo does it too, and he's missing a tooth right in that same spot. Just that one.
Well, what shops are in town are closing up for the night, so it'll be easier to find work, or at least ask for other work in the morning if you're looking for more civilized ways of earning income. We have there's tools that always need to be mended and created to support the mining colony.
Yeah, it's not necessarily my first priority. I'm sure we could spend a couple days before people will begin to wonder why we're here and what we're doing. I mean, apparently they haven't asked us about Zizhin here. Seems like he's been here for a while.
Yeah,
Then
I've been
I'm-
here a
then-
few years now.
You're in this village?
Yeah, I live here.
You have your own house?
I have a few places that I stay between.
Hmm.
Couch
He's not
crasher.
been arrested. That's curious.
There's a decent amount of foot traffic and trade that runs through the city, so it's not necessarily uncommon to see people rooted for some time and then stay here for some time and then move on.
Yeah, I make sure that whenever I pick a pocket, that it's somebody that can afford to lose what I'm taking, and ideally somebody that's not going to be here very long.
And we should all check our pockets.
I haven't gotten to you guys.
I still imagine, as he said that, Sock just like patting down his pockets. Sure.
Won't find anything in my pockets.
So Taka, I assume we could stay here for the night.
Yes, you're more than welcome to stay. There's plenty of room. You know, as he points around to like this 10-foot by 10-foot ish room. It's like there's plenty of floor space.
Yeah, right. He points to the floor of his 10-foot room.
Yeah. Like I sleep in the corner out front, but there's each of you can take a corner and then kind of work your way in. But yeah, you can.
There's a
stay here
snoring
for
from the
time.
corner already. Looks like a jump up. Oh wait, the rabbit.
You mean the fox?
Or the
Okay.
fox, yeah, that's what it was, fox. I can remember, it's been 2 weeks. I just picked an animal then.
So yeah, if you wanted to cook up the fox.
Yeah, I'll see what we have to cook up a stew.
Yeah.
Salt.
Oh, stew. It's tea, which is just hot water, and fox.
Right.
Yeah.
Is it just a fox, or is it like a fox bear, or an owl fox?
So yeah,
Or-
Tony hasn't watched the show, so it was just a fox.
It's fox. No hybrids going on here.
Yeah.
There are not many animals in Avatar that are not hybrids. There is a single bear and a single cat, and that is it.
Yeah, there was a joke.
I just killed the single fox. Shit.
Right.
So yeah,
I don't know what his mother was.
he'd have a pot. He'd have a pot that you could throw it in. He'd have like a couple dull knives that it looks like he got fourth hand, and he'd have some like basic spices, maybe some salt and pepper, and he'd offer to sprinkle some tea leaves in.
The knives are unacceptable. I'll begin to sharpen them.
I think it. I don't know if there's a move for this, but I just know how to cook. It felt like a thing. I don't know.
You could rely on your
creativity.
skills and training if you wanted. But in this case, like I think you'd be able to cook, and there isn't really an uncertainty around it.
Are you sure about that?
The ingredients are the questionable part of this. I mean, to be fair, it's the meat. It's the meat that helps put the flavor really into it. So, all right, we should be all right. If all I had was salt and pepper and fucking hot water, then I might need to make a roll.
Yeah, you got some. He just says he's got herbs, and he gives you some herbs, and it's just you smell them and they smell good. It smells it smells like oregano.
Going by smell alone, it's all good. Good.
So you're cooking the stew, and it takes a little while. It takes a little while for it to get all the way through and to prep and everything. The light outside the window begins to turn golden and then darken as night falls. And just as the stew is about to finish, you hear screams coming. You hear screams of panic coming from what sounds like the center of town. And you hear, following those screams, several large thuds, which sounds like things are being sounds like stone, like heavy stone hitting the earth.
Well, take the pot off the fire. Well, let's get going.
Zhijian is gonna immediately prop himself halfway out the window, kind of craning his head to peer around and see if he can see what's going on.
Looking out the window, Taka's abode is near the outskirts. You see people running away, and as they're running, you see. Let's see. It's really annoying that I can't share this photo easily. I'll just upload it.
You toss it into Discord?
Yeah.
I'll put a picture in.
Yeah, you see. This will be something that I figure out. You see something chasing after it. It has these this white. It has kind of white translucent fur. It has red eyes and like a beak, like a hooked beak, like a bird. And you can see through it, and it appears to be like dive bombing this particular villager as they're running away, screaming from it.
How big is it?
This thing looks like it's, from what you can tell, this thing looks like it's about 2 to 3 feet long and about 1 foot tall.
Oh, so it's fairly small.
Yeah, it's fairly small.
And this person is also running from the center of town.
Yes.
I mean, I would run outside and then create like a wheel of air around me to move as quickly as I can towards this person.
Okay.
I'd follow after as well. Zhijian wants to be in the excitement.
Okay.
He's a bit of a daredevil.
So, you get to where they're at, and you're chasing them, or you get to where they're at, and they continue, like this thing continues to dive bomb. This creature continues to dive bomb or dive bomb this villager as they run, and like you look, so you come across like a T intersection, and they run like to your left, and you look right, and you get like a good shot, a good view of the town center, and you see about 9 of these things swooping down at different people. And some of them, you see one fly through a window, and other people run out of that house. And yeah,
So how far away are these different? Like the guy who I initially was going after, and then how far away are the second group?
yeah. From here, they're the one that you're going after is about 10 feet away, and this creature is about 10 feet or so in the air, and the area or the center of town from your right is about 50 feet.
So yeah, I would yell back to Jijin to help this guy, and then I would divert and head towards the center of town where these other people are.
So this one that's dive bombing a person right in front of me, is there time to react and intercept to like keep it from hurting the person that's chasing?
What would you do? What would Jijin do?
So what I imagine is Jijin would, so he has like a kind of stone bracer on one forearm,
Mhm.
and he would use his earthbending to break it apart, and it also reveals that there's a coil of rope underneath it, and the rope would unspool, and as it broke apart, it would recoalesce and also compress really tightly into a ball attached to the rope. And I imagine he would then use the meteor hammer that he just created to try and wrap around the thing and redirect the force so that it doesn't hurt the person or it misses the person.
Okay. Is this and yeah, the meteor hammer is Jijin's, like that's his bread and butter.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd say that we could resolve that with a rely on your skills and training roll.
Okay.
So roll for focus. We'll do a focus roll. Should be on your character sheet if you look at.
Okay. So there's not a specific mood for relying on focus and training.
Yeah, so like this for relying on skills and training, it's just it's a focus roll is what it is.
Okay.
But yeah, like you can.
They hit.
So
There is a specific thing for every skill. It's in your moves tab. If you have sources set to all, it will show you the basic moves and your playbook moves. And one of them in the upper one of the corners is rely on your skills and training. But in this case, it is just a focus roll.
Yeah.
Okay, so I do it, but I do it imperfectly. It looks like because that's what an 8 means, right?
Yep. So you're gonna swing out with your meteor hammer, and you're gonna try to redirect this hit this creature in such a way that it redirects it. Where are you redirecting it to?
I might have.
Well, I think that like I would have tried to redirect it so that it uses its motion already to just bring it to the ground, since it's in the process of dive bombing.
Gotcha.
But then I imagine because I do it imperfectly, maybe it is stronger than I expect, or it's able to correct at the last minute, and maybe it comes careening into me.
Yeah. So I would say that you can swing. You swing with your meteor hammer and you hit it to bring it down. But it instead of hitting the ground, it veers off into an open window, into a house. So you can accept those consequences, or you can spend a fatigue basically to spend extra effort to make sure you do it right.
No, that's fine. And then once that happens, I would yell to the person, "Go find cover," and then I would try to go through the same window just to make sure there's nobody in there, to kind of protect them from this creature.
You see like a father, you see like a man and a young girl in the room, and they look like they just had this creature just careen through their window, and they're in shock, and he's like holding on to her, and like and like kind of puts himself between her.
Okay. Do you wanna see what other people are doing now, or do you want me to continue with what I intend to do? I don't know how this works with initiative or if we're in initiative or anything like that.
Yeah. So for this, we're not in initiative. And Avatar, at least in the game system, there are some things. Not all combat things are necessarily resolved through combat exchanges. So in cases where you're kind of dealing with like lesser enemies, oftentimes you don't need to just jump into initiative for it.
Okay.
But yeah, we can cut to everybody else. So
I mean, I'm headed for the center of town, but we should go to the other two.
yeah, Ura and Sakshik, what are you guys doing?
I had also hoped to interfere with that spirit. I figured that would be the perfect time to introduce a skill called Flame Charge.
Do we know that it's a spirit? Is that obvious?
It doesn't look human, so I guess you would, or it doesn't look. It is like it's like translucent, so like you can see through it.
Okay.
And so you would guess that it's a spirit because like you just don't see through creatures.
Okay.
And
You don't. Ura sees through them all the time.
Yeah,
Used to be you couldn't shake a stick without hitting transparent creature.
Yeah, I don't know. So I figured, I'd hoped maybe I could, while if his deflection was a failure, maybe I could jump through and prevent any interaction with any other innocent people,
okay.
non-spirits.
Okay. Are you going to? So you see, are you going to follow?
Yeah, so I figured I would kind of, I started heading out too, so, and everybody started running, start running, I see him go up to deflect this one that's swooping,
Okay.
and I had also hoped to meet it. So he goes to deflect it, it starts careening off in a different direction, so I have to like make a mad dash towards it to prevent that from happening.
Okay.
Using a technique called Flame Charge. I hurtle at my foe with enormous speed and force. Choose a foe that I'm currently engaged with. I become engaged. It becomes impaired. I become favored.
Okay.
What does it look like when you're trying to do this?
So I start to kind of run too. I can't go like 0 to fast. I'm a slow to get up to speed. But once I start, the flames get to kicking, and then my feet started to sort of flame up, and then I just sort of jump, like flame following me as I am launched towards this spirit before it heads into that house.
Okay. I think, yeah.
Okay, so with that, then would that would be like a interception, like it? So I wouldn't have jumped in after it through the window then, if he succeeds.
Oh, yeah, I can post it here. Hold on. Oh no, I cannot post it because it's not on my sheet yet.
Oh, is that? Oh yeah, we were gonna add
yeah.
those.
Let's see here. It's based on defend and maneuver.
Yeah.
So do I have to make a defend and maneuver roll? I guess. Is that how it works?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which looks like it's a focus, which is
So
unfortunate.
What we'll do is we'll enter a combat exchange at that point, since that makes sense. If this was just Zhizhen, kind of, if this was just Zhizhen, trying to just deflect this one, that's fine. But if you guys are both going on it, then it makes sense to do a combat exchange. So I'm gonna. Yep. No, not that one. This one. Nope. So we'll see how this works because I haven't done a combat exchange on here yet. So we'll have this guy. This is just so the combat exchanges in the system aren't really about positioning. So this is more of like a theater of the mind style of battle. So the positions don't necessarily matter, but this just gets all your tokens out on the page. So in this case, Ura and Zhizhen will be part of the exchange, and so will this guy. So here we've got. So the way this works is that each person, the way the combat exchange works is you do a stance move, in that you pick attack, advance, defend or maneuver, or evade and observe. And you don't have to necessarily choose the technique you're going to use within that. You just have to choose the general like category. So the GM chooses for whatever creatures are involved, or whoever's involved in whatever monsters are involved, and it's hidden. And then the players choose, and then we all like show our cards, and that determines like which order you're going to go in. So it always goes defend and move and maneuver gets resolved first, and then advance and attack, and then evade and observe. So if you click the card icon, you should be able to click the card icon, and if you do, you'll get a choice. Tony and Hawk, are you able to? Do you see a card icon that you're able to click?
No.
I do not.
Yes, I did. I did.
Oh. Looks
I
like
clicked on the card icon, but it's blank. There's nothing in there.
interesting.
Do you have your token selected? I don't know if that matters.
I
But...
know it doesn't matter.
I don't even see the card icon.
Yeah, it's because you guys aren't part of this particular exchange
Okay.
between this dark spirit and Aura and Vision. So you don't see it. Let me.
It's like I clicked on it and it popped a thing up, and I had the 3 options
Oh,
there.
I see.
He has an X on it, so I don't know if that
That's
matters.
weird. Let me check something. Let's see. It didn't. You don't have the option because for some reason you're not showing up in the list. And I don't know why you're not showing up in this list, Mike. Hmm. Oh, are you? Are you logged in?
Yeah.
Interesting. Who are you logged in on, Cinder?
Mike.
That is strange. It doesn't show that you're logged in.
Let me refresh,
Okay.
see if that does anything.
Now it says you're logged in. Yeah, your icon was blank. Okay. All right. Start it again. Now you should be able to. See it, Mike.
I clicked on the card stack. There's nothing in there.
Hmm. Let's see. I wonder. Try now.
Okay, now I see exchange approaches.
Okay, that's it. Yeah, you didn't have permission on the cards.
Okay.
That makes sense. Now you should be able to select a card.
Okay. So I'm selecting a card based off of what I want to do, or what I think is going to happen.
Correct.
Or do I? How do I do this?
You are. Do you mean like how do you actually select it?
Yeah.
You should just be able to click on a card. Like
It doesn't do anything.
Are you able to screen share?
Yeah.
Okay, so close this.
So I click here, it doesn't do anything. I click here.
Yeah, close this. Let's try this again. All right, now click the card. Now,
Okay.
now, yeah, this is where you select. So yeah, you can close. You don't have to. What? Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Okay.
All right, and we'll see. We'll add everybody to the combat tracker. And then at work. Yeah. So everybody. So yeah. We have. So this spirit is choosing to defend and maneuver stance, and Ura and Shijin are well, Ura is doing defend and maneuver, and Shijin is evade and observe. So
That's cool. I like that.
this one is going to.
So did I just to check? Did I already become engaged with it?
You.
Did my flame charge?
It gets to react first in this, and then you would become engaged. Your move would go off when evade and observe is resolved.
So just because of the timeline, so Jijin has roped the thing. It's heading into the window, and Uda is trying to intervene before that happens, so that the thing is going to go. Then Uda is going to have that chance to intercept. Is that the order of events, or has the thing already careened into the window?
I think. Yeah, I think Ura, you can go first. There isn't really like a specific within the order. There isn't within like a given stance. There isn't a particular order, like who goes who goes first, players or that. So in this case, I think it makes sense that Ura, you would go first.
Alrighty, then then I do my skill again that I don't have marked here. Flame charge. It's a defend and maneuver, so I guess that's I gotta roll a focus on that then. I just hit defend and maneuver. Yeah. I don't know. I just hit focus, right? There we go. No bonuses or anything. Cool.
Yeah, so that's a hit.
Cool. So it says they become impaired and I become favored.
So you roll a 10, so you get to. Is this so? This is a master technique.
Yeah, it is for me. Yeah.
Yeah. So you get
I
to.
only know master.
You get to use 2 because you rolled a 10 plus. You get to use. You can use 2 different. You can use 2 techniques, mastered or basic. So since Ura only has mastered techniques,
Right.
you could do this and another defend and maneuver.
Oh, okay. Actually, then that's cool. That's handy. Defend and maneuver. Yeah, I'll throw out my flame. Oh wait, I guess I'm already favored. I guess okay. Yeah. What's these other moves here? All right. No, you know what? I'll just do the flame shield, and I'll mark 1 fatigue for it.
Okay.
I'll just like launch myself via the fire from my feet up in front of it, and it sort of, I guess, perhaps stumbles as it doesn't make its way into that house, and I don't let the flames die out, and I let it sort of wreath around me in preparation for its potential attacks, I guess.
So yeah, you knock it out of the way, and like it, yeah, it's flying into the house. You launch through the air and just like hit it full bore, and make contact with it. And what was the other technique you said you were going to use?
The flame shield, that one I posted here.
Oh, okay.
Mark up to 2. I marked just 1. So the flame shield blocks the number of attacks this exchange equal to 1 plus the fatigue mark, so 2.
Oh, gotcha. So okay. So it blocks attacks. Gotcha.
Right. And it is impaired.
Yep. And you are
Favored, right? So it's I choose an additional basic or master technique in the next exchange, even on a miss. Is the exchange like each round?
Yes. Yeah. Basically, an exchange is a round.
Got it. So just like full bore run into it, deflected from the house. Like, you don't go in there, buddy.
So yeah, this marks 1 fatigue. So it'll mark 1 fatigue.
And chooses 1 fewer techniques. Or take
Or
2 actions. Choose 1 fewer technique. Oh yeah, gotcha. So it's either take a fatigue or choose 1 fewer technique. Got it.
yeah, because they don't have like physical actions. Yeah.
Yep. Got it.
All right. And so then the spirit will go, and it chose to do a defended maneuver. So what it's going to do is it is going to, and it just got hit with this. So it's going to seize a position. So it's going to, let's see, do this one. Yeah, it's going to seize a position. So it's going to, so it's engaged with you. So it's going to attempt to disengage.
Unless I want to mark a fatigue to stop it.
Yeah, you can mark a fatigue to stop it. So basically, what it's going to do is like as you hit it, it's going to try to like fly away, and like get out of the position where it's just going to try to move to a different position to escape. And so yeah, you can. Your flame shield. Let's see. It's not an attack. So yeah,
Right.
it doesn't necessarily come into play.
It just says if I'm not attacked, I become favored.
Gotcha. Yeah, so it's not going to attack you. It's just going to try to escape. So you can spend, since you're engaged with it, you can spend a fatigue to basically prevent it from running away.
Nah.
Okay. So as you hit it, it like does a barrel roll to the side and like it shoots up and it starts flying upwards. And then Jixen, you hit this thing with your meteor hammer. You see Ura, this person you just met, just like careen into it with fire at his feet, and you see this spirit looking like it's trying to get away.
Okay. So, let me ask. So, when you do the card, you're locked into an evade and observe move.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. And then what's the difference between learned, practiced, and mastered?
That's a great question. Everybody starts with a learned and a mastered technique. So
Everybody except Ura.
everybody except Ura. Yeah, everybody except Ura, because Ura's playbook is the Elder, and they're basically like they've been around long enough. They're just good at a bunch of shit.
I'm old.
So the mastered technique, if a technique's mastered, you can do it at any time. As in like there aren't any penalties for using it. If a technique is learned, if a technique is learned, then you can do it only if you do roll a 10 plus on your stance move, which is what Six and Jujin would do now, and you mark a fatigue. Basically, and you mark a fatigue. And basically, the idea is that like there's this technique, like you kind of know it, but you haven't really used it in combat yet. So it's like you're just trying to get it off. And then after you use a learned technique once, it becomes practiced. So then you still have the restriction that you can use it only on 10 plus, but you don't have to mark a fatigue every time you use it. So for Jixen, the sweep the leg is mastered, and duck and twist is learned. So you could use duck and twist if you roll a 10 or higher and you mark a fatigue. Otherwise, you can use commit, bolster, hinder, or test balance without any penalties.
Okay. So, I mean, the thing is flying away, right?
Correct.
Does it look like it's flying to like redirect its attack at others, or does it look like it's just trying to get away?
You get this. It looks like it's just trying to get away.
Okay. Can I just let it and not do anything about it?
Yeah, you could do that. If you Yeah, you could do that. You still get to. Yeah, that's fine.
I guess I could do to commit. Looks like it's something I could do now, right? Shift your balance towards one of your principles.
You could do commit. If you wanted to shift your, I mean, I think in this case it might make sense if you were going to commit, like, and you want to shift your balance, it might make sense for Shijin to shift towards friendship.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking that Jijin would shift towards friendship, and that would be evidenced by him running into the middle of town to help Gage and the other people that might be being attacked by these spirits.
I think that makes sense. So yeah, you can use so roll. You can, I guess with advantage, or you can roll creativity or harmony. So
Doesn't matter which.
for you probably want to do creativity.
Okay.
Yeah, so you get to use. So yeah, you get to use just commit, and just one technique because you just made it.
Okay.
So yeah, you can shift your balance one towards friendship, and that will I think that will conclude this exchange. You see the creature, it wheels up and it whirls around and it heads back towards it wheels around and it heads back towards the center of town and begins screeching. When it starts screeching, you hear the rest of them. You hear like several responses and also screeches coming from the center of town, and they're shrill and deafening.
How do you get rid of fatigue?
You can either rest or get someone to provide comfort and guidance,
or you can use evade and observe during a combat exchange as another way to clear fatigue.
Okay.
So cutting to Gage and Sakshik. Gage was heading to the center of town, and Sakshik heading with him.
I'm headed. So once I see what's going on, I'm headed to where my ward is to protect them.
Okay.
I just wanted to say that I kind of wish now that we played my game on Discord, because it would be so sweet if every once in a while Mike's face just blurred out while he's playing Clave, because whatever the blur thing is, it does not recognize Mike. Not all the time, at least.
Yeah, that's weird, right? I guess my skin blends in with the paints on
Right.
the wall.
I was wondering, it's like it does look like there's kind of like a blue glow from the monitor, so maybe it's thinking you're blue, therefore not skin, therefore
that's
blurring you out.
Yeah, that's one of my
Absolutely.
lights. I can actually change that. It's been a while since I've changed it, so I think I'm gonna do that.
I just think it would be appropriate for a changeling to constantly blur out into the background. So I'm headed to the center of town, but he's going to defend his ward.
Yep. So we'll. So Gage, you're heading into the center of town, and you see 9. You're able to count 9 different these creatures, like screeching and dive bombing whatever citizens they're able to find. And as you get into the center, you also notice there are that thud, like the thud and the ground, the thud of that sounded like heavy stone hitting the ground. You see 2 about 10-foot tall, 10-foot tall or so, stocky platypus bears, and they have red eyes, and they're slightly translucent as well, and they are roaring and just basically knocking down buildings.
Do they smell of urine?
Sakshik, your ward lives where you kind of followed your ward. They kind of
Okay.
live. You have to kind of go through the center. It's the fastest way
Okay.
to get there. And yeah, you smell like you get a good whiff of urine
Yep.
as like you're passing them. They don't appear to be attacking people. Like unlike they don't appear to be like bothering or attacking any humans. They appear to be just kind of more focused on going through these stone houses.
So, I mean, what I would want to do first, and I don't know, this isn't necessarily like a combat thing, or at least I don't know how to do it. I just want to like let loose like a burst of air at as many of the dive bombing ones as I can, like when they swoop back up. And like maybe one or two will be low at that point, but I just want to let loose a burst of air to try to like startle them into dispersing.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
my character has no idea if it will work, given that they're spirits, but that would be his thinking, like kind of like scaring off a flock of birds.
Okay. I would say we could resolve that. That sounds like a rely on your skills and training roll.
Okay.
So, I'd say that you're able to hit them. A gauge would be able to hit them with a blast of air, but it's uncontrolled, and the blast, in the sense that the blast radius is wider, and he's also going to catch one of the platypus bears in that, which would make the platypus bear aware of gauge. So you can mark a fatigue to reject those or accept it.
What the hell? I'll mark a third fatigue. 2 Naopi mauled to death by a platypus bear.
Okay. You're able to get off this blast of air, and what does it look like?
I mean, I imagine I come rolling in. The air that I was using around me as my air scooter concentrates in front of me into a ball, and then I just release it outward, and it essentially just fly almost like an air fireball, just sort of flies out from me, and then right in front of a flock of things, it just explodes outward,
Okay.
startling them.
Nice. That's awesome. So it pummels them, explodes outwards, and like they fly in all different directions. After a few moments, they will collect them. They will take to the air again and kind of recollect themselves, and then they would turn their attention towards you.
And then I see Sakcha, and I'm like, great, back up. And then Sakcha just runs right past and through the square out the other side. That's what I imagine, at least.
Yeah. Sakshik, you run through the center of town, and you're heading back towards. I was on the northern. It was on one of the streets along the on the north side, and you get to the house where Kaya went inside, and the door is closed, and you don't hear any sound coming from the inside. It looks like it's been unmolested so far, from what you can tell.
Okay. I do have a thing I can do.
I'm curious, is she in one of like the stone houses or some like wooden house?
She's in a stone house.
Uh-oh, she may be the man.
Let's see. Yeah, I see that. Okay, so I have one hold I can spend from the roll in the beginning.
Okay.
So I'm going to use figure out what they're up to without them knowing. So I guess as I get to the door and see it's boarded up, I don't hear anything. Maybe I take like something out of my pouch and extend it. It looks like a cup, and I stick it up to the door and listen to see if I can hear them talking or hushed whispers behind the door.
Yeah. What where is that under? I'm just looking.
Protector's Burden. It's in the rules. It's page 176 on the PDF.
Okay. Yeah. So you hear you bring out your cup and listen to the door, you're able to pick up hushed whispers, and you hear what sounds like you hear like a male voice and like a teenage, a female voice, and you hear, "Stay hidden, stay out of sight. I'm gonna go and help drive away these creatures. Don't make any sounds, otherwise they might come inside. They might be aware of you." And you hear a protest, or like you hear like she's protesting this, and he says, "I'll be back. Don't worry about me. They can't be an earthbending master anyway."
Okay. That's probably all I can do. I will move away from the door so I don't get whacked.
Okay.
Assuming they're coming out the door.
Yeah. Are you going to like move away? Is Sasha going to move away such that they are trying to remain hidden, or just kind of step to the side?
Yeah, I'll remain hidden.
Okay. It feels like a rely on your skills and training move, because there's a chance that this person could just see you, standing right outside their door.
Okay. Okay, good. Here we go.
Yeah, so you succeed. You are able to move out of the way and remain obscured from view. It probably helps quite a bit that there is loud shrieking and thudding going on. So there is tension is he's a bit distracted to notice the thing right under his very nose.
What's my initial assessment of this person who came out of here? Do they look like they can? Do they look like they're going to actually help or not?
Yeah, this person, this is what they look like.
Oh.
This is not what they look like. Oh, it's in this folder.
Okay.
Yeah. So the person that comes out looks more well-to-do than most of the people you've seen at the village, and like a little bit better dressed. Not like royalty, but like that they have some money.
I knew it.
And it's tough to tell just by the way he looks, like whether or not he is an earthbending master as he claimed, but
Yeah, I guess my initial assessment, like did he come out of the door like he was sweating, like panicked, or looked frightened, or I mean that might be like a separate role at some point.
I think it's fine. I'd say he looked purposeful.
Okay. Well, part of my thing is I got there has to be some there has to be some trust that they can complete this task. I'm not really worried. I'm worried about her, not him so much, but he is now I have to trust that he's going to be able to do what he's going to do. Because I think I got somebody else on the team, in a group I just met, that may be in over their head at this point, but so I may have to run back and help him.
Ura and Shijin, what are you guys going to do? You saw this creature fly back towards the center of town, like the other way that you like towards where Gage went. Are you going to give chase to it?
Yeah, Jijin has already done that with his last action. He's running.
Yeah, I'm definitely doing that.
Running after it. Okay. So as you get into like the center of town, you see what I described before, and you see two platypus bears just knocking over buildings. But you see about 9 of these creatures now that are like directly heading right towards Gage. And I think that's a good time to bring up it's a good time for a combat exchange. And I would say that Sakshik, I'd give you a chance to if you were going to run back to also participate.
Yeah. Yeah. My intent is to run back and use my divert. Get next to Gage and use divert.
Okay.
How do I use this card?
I'm going to start. So I have a thing that I initiate at my end that sets up the card flip,
I see.
card selection thing.
Yeah, it'll pop up on your screen.
Okay. And this. Make sure that everybody has this. All right. So yeah, you should now see the card selection.
Just to clarify, we're seeing a number of platypus bears running at Gage.
You see 2 platypus bears that are not they. So what you see 9 of these flying creatures dive, heading down, flying towards Gage.
All 9 are.
All 9.
Okay.
You see 2 platypus bears. They are indiscriminately knocking down buildings, and just generally like causing. Yeah, they're just like vandalizing property. They do not appear to have noticed you guys yet.
Okay.
How long am I favored for?
Um,
I don't know if I would be still if we had to run here. I don't know.
Yeah, you're favored for as long as the non-answer is you're favored for as long as it thematically makes sense.
Right.
I think that since you had like a leg up in that particular circumstance, you wouldn't be at this point. Since it's like it's a different you had to move to get here. All right. All right. Sakshik. You're up. Dark Spirits on deck.
I forgot about Sakchik's Gorbachev little birthmark on his head until I saw the drawing.
So I'm gonna do divert.
Okay.
So I just roll that with focus. Yeah.
Yes. Let me check.
Okay. Hopefully I do this right. Just made it. Okay.
Nice. Yeah. So you're able to do divert, and so yeah, that's a success. So what is that? What are you doing with that? So like, what does that look like thematically? So
Yeah,
are
so
you
I'm-
like stepping in front of? Are you stepping in front of Gage?
Yeah, so it was kind of a. So of course I quickly ran down there and listened at the door, and then I ran back here, and then I run and step in front of Gage, and I take my brush out. I start brushing my robes off because they're a little bit dirty from running around.
Okay. All right. So you're going to suffer blows instead of Gage. Suffer blows instead of Gage for this turn. See, now it could be in any turn or any turn order. But I think in this sense it makes sense for Gage to go next.
So I am going to try to pressure one of them so that it can't continue to advance and attack. Let's see. Oh, I guess I had to do my focus roll first. I didn't think about that. My bad.
Was
My stance move, I mean, I didn't roll to see what I could use.
the stance move. So you were using pressure. So that was
Yes.
a passion roll. So like the first one was right. The stance move is before advance and attack is just a passion roll. Does that make sense?
Yes, I don't know why it didn't roll with passion on the stance move.
Got to commit to it.
Plus,
My passion is +3, so I think it would be an 8 or a 9, I guess.
yeah, it would.
So it's kind of the same either way.
Yeah, that's strange. But I think the first one is your first one was right. You didn't need to roll you didn't necessarily need to roll the second one. So we can go with like a hit.
Even with a +3, it's the same roll. So
Yeah. So you get.
So I hit one of them, and it can't advance and attack next round, next exchange. I mean, because I've intimidated him.
Okay. So this for like purposes of these are treated as like a swarm. So like when you don't like intimidate one, but you wouldn't pressure one, but you'd like do something to pressure the whole group.
Right. And what I imagine I did is like I push my hands down to the ground, and you can see the air begin to swirl around me, and it lifts up in a ring, and then I just blast the ring outward, and it pushes them back a little bit to make them second guess coming after me.
Okay.
Because I figured out that that Sakchik, who's like cleaning his robe, is actually there defending me. I think he's just cleaning his robe.
So next turn, next will be they can't choose advance and attack. Did I get that right?
Yeah, in the next exchange.
Yeah. Okay.
But this exchange, they're free.
Yes.
Do what they
Yeah.
want.
So they're gonna go next, and they're going to they're going to use the strike. They're going to strike. So they're going to strike at you, Gage, but it's going to Sakshik is going to hit it. So or absorb it. So Sakshik, you must mark 2 fatigue, mark a condition, or shift your balance away from center.
So 2 fatigue, a condition, or shift away from center?
Correct. So like that. Yeah, that would be you could shift towards self-reliance or towards trust.
So the fatigue that we had from the last session still is around, right? We haven't cleared those?
Right.
Okay. I don't know. I don't want to take trouble and have to talk to Tony's character.
especially right now, I'm so angry.
Oh, yeah.
Just seething on it right now.
I'll take guilty.
Okay. Is when and so these dark spirits are dive bombing you and they claw at you, and you absorb it. So how would Sakshik, what would he feel guilty about?
That I should have trusted that the ward was safe, and that I should have just ran out here and helped Gage in the first place, so we wouldn't be in this situation.
Okay.
It also says if I use divert, you can also use retaliate in this exchange to deal an additional 1 fatigue. Does that have to be rolled at the same time, or when I take damage, or what?
That's
Retaliate, I think, is when they attack. When they
Right.
inflict fatigue, rather.
Right.
it's if you also use retaliate. So like if you rolled a 10 and you're able to choose 2 techniques, and you use
Gotcha.
divert and then you use retaliate, like that's when that would come into play.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. All right.
All right. Shijin.
Okay.
Or Shijin, sorry.
Okay, so
Decision
I'm
by
going-
vision.
So when I have to roll a passion before I choose what I'm doing, or
Yeah. So yeah, you roll your stance move, which for you is passion, and that determines how many moves you get to use or techniques you get to use in this exchange. Nice. So yeah, you roll a 10, so you get to use. Well, it's lying, so you get to use 2. Oh, I guess no, it's right. Yeah, so you get to use. So you roll a 10, so what you can use 2 basic, or 2 mastered techniques. Or since you rolled a 10, you could use your learned technique. Well, I don't know.
I'll take a fatigue.
And take a fatigue.
Yeah, he rolled a 10, so he chooses one from the 3 listed in the thing.
Yeah.
okay.
One of those is you mark a fatigue to use the learn technique. The other one is he can use a practice technique and no fatigue, but he doesn't have any because you don't start with those. Or the third one is he can use 2 techniques, basic or mastered, but not learned.
Yeah,
So-
you're using advanced attack. Like your learn technique is an evade and observe, so you wouldn't be able to use it in this exchange.
So what I was so what I initially thought was Jijin is going to sweep his hand, and that will summon some debris from the ground, and he'll coalesce it into a ball and then throw it at one of these creatures flying, and then a second after he's going to throw his meteor hammer, and he's going to use his earthbending to cause that ball of dirt that he threw to kind of explode in a mist, and then while the creature is in that mist, then strike it with the meteor hammer. So I'm using sweep the light for that.
Okay.
So so if
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. I think that works.
so do they have if they have fewer than 3 total fatigue and conditions marked, then I inflict 2 fatigue and I must mark a fatigue. I
They
don't know
do.
if they have.
They do not. So you inflict 2 fatigue.
Okay. And then I take a fatigue. And then I can use another.
Yep.
So with that, I'm gonna follow up with another strike with my meteor hammer.
All right. They're gonna choose. They're gonna choose to mark a condition, and they're gonna mark. Wish there was a way I could share this. Why doesn't it do that? All right. Well, that's something I'm gonna figure out how to make it work. But basically, they mark. They have a frenzy condition. So they become frenzied after you strike them. And let's see. This is what the text is. Oh. I am not Sakshi. I just had him highlighted. Yeah, so they become frenzied.
The bear things?
The flying things.
Okay.
And next we'll go to Uro.
Oh, sweet.
So when they chose the condition, they can choose an advantageous condition. That looks advantageous that they're able to clear a afraid and a fatigue.
I don't know. Is frenzied a status or a condition?
Frenzy is like a custom condition. But so they only have 2. So like somebody is knocked out of a fight or incapacitated when they take all their conditions. So like these creatures only have 2 conditions, and this is one of them.
Okay.
So it is.
So they're essentially, if they take one more condition, they're knocked out.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, this is advantageous, but it also takes away. It weakens them, like overall.
Gotcha. Interesting. Well, so I did evade and observe, so I'm gonna go ahead and roll my harmony for that. Cool.
Nice. Getting back to the good rolls.
So I get to clear a fatigue from doing this as well, right?
You do.
All right, cool. I'm probably gonna get myself a couple more here. So, so I get to here. I basically get to use 2 of these, huh? Has anybody taken any fatigue yet?
I was fatigued from dealing with gunshot.
Yeah, me too.
I took a fatigue in the last maneuver I used.
So I will come up near. What's Gage engaged with? I guess. Are you
The flock of monkey
flying
birds.
thing, right? Okay, cool. Flock seagull? No, wait.
Yeah. So
Um,
yeah, you get the sense. You can tell now that you've dealt with them. They're macaw gibbons, dark spirit macaw gibbons. So they look like monkeys, like flying monkeys.
Where's the Wicked Witch?
Yeah, exactly.
So I will go up next to Gage. And do bolster hinder, and just do bolster for him, and give him the empowered status. Let's say, you're doing good. Keep it up. But at the same time, my other technique, I'm gonna do patience. I'm gonna wait until the perfect moment to act. Mark 1 fatigue to gain prepared. Mark fatigue, gain prepared. I don't know what that does. You're ready for what's coming. Clear, prepared to take +1 on an appropriate roll. Or avoid condition. Got it. Perfect, cool. And then take a special advanced attack. Use one, so I'm going to use my explosive blast. Basically, just to kind of light these things up. Or at least, light up what I can with them.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's awesome. So like patience. So patience is like waiting. You wait for the last moment.
Yeah.
And then you strike, like after you've gone through the phase, so kind of see what everything, like how the rest of the attack and advance phase played out.
Right.
Cool.
And it helps me get rid of fatigue.
Yeah, and that too.
Is that a combustion bending technique?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes.
So yeah, so like I don't know why, I just imagine like from years of hard work, my fingers are like super rough, and so I snap, and it makes a spark that I use to launch this rapidly expanding explosion at a target.
And since they're flying, there wouldn't be like a lot of cover that they could dive for. Like they could try to dive out of the way, but like they're not going to be able to necessarily dive behind something.
If they take the blow, they mark 4 fatigue.
Yeah. So, yeah, that they're going to take the blow, and they mark. Yeah, so they got 4 fatigue.
Thing to be aware of is both of the combustion benders in the show died because somebody blocked their shot and it blew themselves up because you need a clear line of sight. So, they both killed themselves.
And also, after you do that, Jijin just looks at you. He's like, oh, "You're a combustion bender."
Oh,
No
what?
way.
Are they still active, or?
They are still active.
Right. Well, I'll use the other part of my patience And I'll mark another fatigue to allowing a companion to engage with them to also make an advance and attack technique against them.
Yeah, so that'd be Shijin or Gage, who like. I guess Sakshik also would be directly engaged since you were blocking a blow. Like you have to be engaged to stand and protect him. So yeah, I think anybody.
I don't know what Zakshik has for attacks.
So I'd release then, if I could take it, I would release a Gale Slice, a thin wedge of air that slices through the flock.
Also, a question, because I noticed it's in the customs. Is coordination something that we can use individually, or do we have to decide to use that as a group?
I think group techniques are meant more for NPCs, like groups of NPCs, than they are for like
Okay.
players.
So that's not something we can use.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just curious.
So I will mark an additional fatigue to use Gale
Yeah.
Slice.
So they ran out of fatigue, so they just had one condition. So that hits. They're gonna take the hit because they're in a frenzied state and they're kind of furiously buzzing, and they're not really in a state to really dodge avoid the blow. So yeah, they are out of the fight. So what they're doing, like they got hit with a combination of a concussive blast, and then Gage. What does the Gale Slice look like?
That is essentially I get into my stance and then bring a hand down, pushing the air ahead of my hand, creating a blade of pure air that moves outwards towards them.
It catches a good number of them, effectively severing a couple of them, and with that, they all start to flee, and they hightail it out. They're no longer interested in they're no longer interested in attacking people. They're gone.
What about the bears?
The bears are still there, and that's going to end this exchange. So
Then I clear one fatigue at the end of the exchange.
nice. So I'd say, or one of the things that like now that this flock of macaw gibbons, spirit macaw gibbons, has hightailed it out, and you hear their shrieks kind of going like getting further away, and you see the two platypus bears are still knocking things over, but now like they look up and they see their aerial support run or leave, and they both turn to you guys.
And I say, no, keep attacking the homes of the wealthy. I mean, actually, I say that, but I actually guess I assume that on the basis of the fact that these are stone houses. But we're the Earth Kingdom. Like, who bothers with wood in the land of the Earthbenders?
Yeah, all the houses here are stone houses.
It's not safe around me.
Yet more reason not to build in wood.
Oh, that's a euphemism or something? Oh.
So, one of the platypus bears don't appear to be advancing. One of them gets down on all fours, and begins. You see it beginning to like trace its. You can see it beginning to dig its claw into the dirt, and it looks like it's scratching at the dirt with one particular claw. And it looks down, appearing to be focused.
So I would just be observing this for the moment. I don't want to fight them if I don't have to.
I mean, does the behavior seem familiar to me as far as my time in the spirit realm?
No, this is it does not. This is very bizarre. Even with your time in the spirit realm.
I guess actually what I would be doing is assessing the situation, because I'm trying to figure out if they're hostile, which is sort of what should I be on the lookout for?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards test balance because I want to figure out what's driving them to fight or act like this?
Um,
And oh wait, no, I got a mark of fatigue to help. Fuck that. You got this. I don't know what happens when you run out of fatigue.
You start taking conditions.
start taking conditions. And when you run out of conditions, then you're incapacitated. So
Got
if
it.
you take all conditions, then like you can still have fatigue left and but still be incapacitated.
Got it.
So test your balance is in a combat exchange, and we're not in a combat exchange at the moment.
Oh, okay.
But you know, and that's one thing that I've never quite gotten, is that the only way to learn, it seems like the only way to ascertain what someone's principle is through a combat exchange. And like there's not like a balance move. It doesn't like there's not like a way to. It doesn't seem like there's like a way to figure that out. Otherwise. But
Well,
like,
would that be something maybe that is more? Because I don't know how these skills work, but
Sure.
maybe just like a general stat roll. Oh, I see now. Wait, so with conditions, I was looking at statuses before, which is why I was like, wait, are there positive and negative?
yeah,
Statuses are different than conditions.
Right. But there are positive and negative statuses.
yeah. So I would say that like it seems like the analog is like the balance for test balance is call someone out. So
Okay.
I think I think the way we can roll this, and I'll see if there's like if this has been fleshed out more otherwise. But basically, like if you don't know what a principle is for someone, and you're not in a combat exchange, we can maybe call someone out, which is like you're gonna tell them to do something based on what you think their principle is, and like their response to that, like if it's a hit, then you get to learn what their principle is. So like if it's you call them out, and if it lands, then they're gonna on a hit they're gonna respond to that, and through that you can ascertain what their principle would be.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Sort of, kind of. So, you want me to roll?
Yes.
What do so it's a straight up roll?
It is. It's just a straight 2d6 roll.
Oh boy. Oh, that's not good.
And you roll with their principle, which is a 0 in this case. So then you shift your balance away from center. And so you get to move it towards trust or self-reliance. And on a miss, they can demand you enact accordance with one of your principles instead. The one that's not drawing, and the one that's not digging its claw into the dirt. What are you saying to this? What are you saying to this pair of large platypus bears?
So I'm trying to ascertain what's driving, why are they acting in this behavior? Because this behavior doesn't seem normal.
One of them, the one that's not drawing, it roars. It roars and it roars, and then for a minute it stops for a minute. Then it begins to like sputter or like begins to looks like it's trying to like formulate words, and it says, "Flee if you want to live."
Are they spirit platypus bears?
They are. They are dark spirits. Like you can see partially through them. They're translucent. They've got red eyes, so they look like larger than normal platypus bears, amplified by dark spirit. amplified by the dark spirits, and says, "This town is ours."
I'll step forward too. What makes you say that, friend?
It doesn't respond. And Peter, Sakshik, here it turns to you, so like they can demand that you act in accordance with one of your principles instead, and then mark a condition or act as a request. So when he says flee, he's like, reliance and trust. Yeah, I'm not sure what a good act or a good request would be.
Well, I mean, he said to flee, run away. So
Yeah.
I'm thinking like either I'm going to literally run away, or if it takes a condition, I'd be afraid.
Yeah.
Or would my balance shift too, or is that another or?
Your balance does shift. Like that shifts
Okay.
regardless.
All right. Okay. So I move that.
Yeah.
I don't think. Well, I'll just tell you what. I'd probably just take the afraid condition.
Okay.
I don't think my character would run off. It doesn't seem like, but he definitely is fearful at this point.
Okay. That works. So it's sitting there, and is anybody gonna do like? Are you like? What else are you guys gonna do? Shijin, Gage.
So I was going to assess the situation, but it sounds like from its response, it is going to attack us if we remain here, which is what I was sort of trying to figure out anyway.
Okay.
So I don't really have to do that.
I'm gonna try and see if I can see what it's if it's digging is like purposeful, or if it's like if there's something clearly visible that would provide some kind of indication as to what it's doing, or if it's just like an intimidation tactic or some other kind of behavior.
Okay. Yeah, I think that. So you could get closer. Basically, yeah, you can try to get a good hit or a good look at it. I'd say that these platypus bears are standing. They're kind of on. What's the best way to put this? They're not going to let you get too close. So like there like the distance that you'd be able to get before one of them would react, where you'd be able to see like some outlines, but you wouldn't be able to like quite see like what exactly it is.
Mhm.
But if you wanted to get closer, then I think we'd make a move, like a rely on your skills and training to try to like duck past them, or like dodge their blows.
Or what about guide and comfort to kind of almost like an animal handling check, where I'm just like, well, we're just trying to understand what's going on here. Maybe if you let us know, maybe if you can share a little bit of what's going on, we can help each other.
Okay. That that sounds good. It is unconventional to try to guide and comfort a dark spirit, but you know what? That's why we roll.
I mean, yeah, you do get to ask a question if you're successful. You'll also cure their fatigue. So luckily we weren't really fighting them yet.
So yeah, I'd allow that. That sounds fun. That sounds interesting.
Okay.
It's a little bit like the bear that's mauling you. You offer it water because it looks dehydrated.
If this fails, then I'll just do my peaceful intimidation again.
Oh, yeah.
I missed.
Yeah. Yeah. Guide and comfort on a failure doesn't really have any like implicit things, implicit like consequences. But I think we rolled it last time.
Well, it says
Because I rolled
it says
nat
that
one.
they inflict a condition on me, and I shift. Wait, they shut you down. They inflict a condition on you, and you shift their balance in response.
That's on a hit.
It's not a hit.
Oh, I thought that was what happened.
Last time I rolled nat ones, so that's why I got the thing.
I see. Okay.
At least that's what we did last time.
Yeah.
Right.
Unless like on a miss, like it's an automatic like shutdown. But like on a hit, you can they can choose to accept it. I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't say that there's a because it's supposed to basically not be used on the hostile platypus bears. There's not really a consequence on a miss. You're just bad at giving people guidance and comfort.
Yeah, can join the club. um, so,
I mean, the things you could probably I say one thing I don't understand is like you couldn't plead with the bears. I don't know what skill to roll to plead with the bears to leave. You'd think plead, but plead only works on things that care what you think in the first place.
yeah,
So you can't make a good enough argument to convince the dark spirits to leave. But it feels like maybe there should be some way to at least get them to begin the question, but I don't know what it would be. But definitely you could do the peaceful intimidate. That still seems like it would probably start the ball moving at least.
Yeah.
I think that like getting them to, getting them to do something or getting them to do something in this way. It sounds like it could be like calling them out. And
I mean,
these bears,
calling that works if we knew, like, I don't know what their principles are. If one of their principles is like balance or peace or something, then calling them out would work, potentially work.
Well, I'll figure out how that works, but I will just say like this their principle is survival. So like we'll figure out how.
Right. Then you could call them out. You would just say that ultimately this is not going to help you survive.
Right.
Ultimately, you're just going to antagonize the humans into doing whatever they're doing, worse things. And I agree. I don't know if you can use test balance out of combat, but it seems like you should be able to. Just like Gale Slice lets you break things, I don't see why I couldn't do that out of combat to like break a chair or a door.
Yeah.
So I think these things probably can be used out of combat if you have a use for them. You just have to roll.
Yeah, I think it would be like rely on your skills and training to do that.
Right.
Which is kind of like a catch-all for things that you know how to do.
So what was their response when I tried to guide and comfort? Did they just ignore me, or?
They growled and snapped at you. The one that is not drawing his finger in the dirt took a step forward and like a warning, as like a warning measure.
Grabbed a villager, bit its head off.
Did I push my luck and try again?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to be very startled by that because I don't want to mess with these guys if I don't have to. And he's going to say, look, there are people we care about here. We have been living here for a while now, and things may be bad, but we need to know what's going on so that we can help each other. All right, so it's a hit. It costs me something, but it hits.
Yeah. This.
I'm really interested to see what, because like I can imagine interacting with a dark spirit like this, like it imparts some like kind of curse or something that'll last a while.
Yeah.
Sounds like some sort of bug.
Yeah. It. So, the bear that is the platypus bear that's drawing stops, and it looks up at you, and it says come.
It says come.
Yeah.
Okay. If it like moves or if it's just telling me to get closer to it, I will, but I'll be very cautious and I'll make sure that I keep both my hands out. And I'll also reform the meteor hammer into the gauntlet and coil the rope around my arm and form it into a gauntlet so that I'm not armed or anything as I approach it.
Okay. As when you get when you get close enough where you can touch it, it raises one of its claws and it touches you on the forehead. And you see a series of visions. You see a place that is brightly colored and almost fantastic. and you see various spirits flying around. You would guess that you might guess that this is the spirit realm because it's different than the way your world looks. You are flying through it. Not in you are flying through it almost at a breakneck speed, and you are transported to into like a dark forest, into a cave, and as you walk towards the cave, a monkey steps out with its face missing.
Oh.
That's a monkey?
And you look down, and before you, in front of this cave, is a symbol that looks like this, and I better be able to show this one. Let's see, show image only. I'll just show everybody. So you see a symbol that looks like this, and it's glowing with this kind of green, ethereal-looking energy, almost like kind of like a sickly green. And then you hear a voice coming from the cave that says, "It's coming." And this voice sounds old, very old, like it's lived longer than time can tell. And you are transported back. You come to Shijin, and you're looking down in front of you, and you see this, looking down at the ground at where the bear was clawing, and you see this eye symbol. And but it is not glowing. But you see the same outline that you saw in your vision.
So Zhijian is going to look at the platypus bear and say, something bad's coming, isn't it?
Good, bad, debatable.
When you said good, bad, I was thinking of Ash from
Yeah.
New Darkness. Good, bad. I'm the guy with the gun.
Yeah, good,
Yeah.
bad. I'm a platypus bear.
The fuck do I know?
With that, the bears are going to turn and walk out of town. Like, they're not in any particular hurry. They're not running, but they are walking out of town as if they own the place.
So
So
follow him to the edge of the town.
Zhijian is sweating profusely from his vision, and he doesn't feel very well afterwards.
I'm gonna follow these bears.
Okay. So, are you following? Like, how long are you going to follow them?
I'm gonna stay a good pace away, and then I'll follow them a little ways out of town.
Okay. So, they exit town, and they're walking down a hill, and you would recognize this hill as the one that the latrine is pouring down into, and they follow the latrine back to what appears to be a den. It's like a cave, and they go into the cave. It's nighttime out at this point, so you can't necessarily see inside well.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go inside.
But yeah, you see them go into this cave.
Was interesting. And I'll head back to town and find the group.
So
I'm sure that took a few minutes.
yeah, so hold on, let me switch back to this. Gage. You know, so after the platypus bears leave, you start noticing that the spot that was near the spot near the ground, or that was on the ground near where one of its feet was, begins to glow, but very faintly. Since it is night, like you can see it's kind of like a bioluminescent glow. Like it's not enough to really like shed light, but it's enough to like make it stand out. So you're able to kind of see this glow coming from this mark, and you see the eye image that you see the eye image that Shijin saw.
I mean, I would kneel down and inspect it. Not really sure what I'm looking at.
Yeah, this doesn't look familiar to you. This isn't. Yeah, this isn't something you've seen before. Ura, when you make it back and you get there, you see a very intense glow coming from this. Coming from the mark. And you still you don't see anything different about it other than the intensity is much higher for you than it is for Gage.
For who?
For Ura.
Oh, okay. Does this look familiar? The symbol?
It doesn't. And
I mean,
you've known a thing. You spent time in the spirit world for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is new.
An unknowable amount, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I mean, that glow, does it seem like a spirit worldly glow then?
It does. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It definitely it does. So you would recognize this as like kind of like an emanation of the spirit world, or like it has like that energy about it.
Right. Yeah, so however long it takes me to get back, I don't know what the party is still doing, if they're still there. I don't know how far outside of the village I went, so I don't even know how big this village is.
You had to stop and pee like 7 times.
He is an old. Ura is an old man.
Took a nap.
This guy isn't like Zarius. A little more lively. He's
Just
young
a
and
little.
You didn't come
Old.
back with some
Young
dead
and
body. Well, you did have a dead fox, so in case you didn't carry it around the whole time.
Oh yeah, dinner.
The
so
when
cold.
Sachik sees this glowing, whatever it is, he backs away from it.
Oh, so that's the funny thing. Sakshik does not see. This does not glow for Sakshik, and it does.
Oh,
Not,
okay.
It does not glow for Shijin. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, like this, it only glows. It only appears glowing for Gage and Ura.
I'll bet it's because Buddha is spent time in the spirit world, and with Gage has something to do with being an airbender or harmonic convergence.
Maybe. Could just be that we're both benders.
I'm a bender. I just suck at bending.
I didn't realize you were a bender. I thought you were a weapons specialist.
I am, but flavored with some minor earthbending power.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah. Like
That's kind of where the meteor hammer comes from, because it's like a really dense, compressed rock that he's able to slightly control the direction of it a little bit better.
Yeah, so I'll just get back. What's this?
It's a glowing symbol.
Indeed.
It's what the bear was carving into the ground.
It's rather bright.
I mean, it doesn't seem that bright.
Oh, it's positively glowing.
You must have more sensitive eyes than me. I see a little bit of light, but wouldn't call it positively glowing. A little bit of glowing.
Interesting.
Which doesn't really make sense to me because you have old eyes. You
But
should see
that's
less
what
well.
I can see more better than you. Anyway, I followed those bears. They went to a den outside that village.
I don't think those were normal bears. They were spirits of some kind.
Yeah,
I was not aware.
might-
I was not aware that there were regular animals in the spirit world.
There's very many strange things that go on there.
But yeah, I have no idea. Maybe the spirits can take any form they really feel like, or maybe just some spirits can.
Perhaps in the morning we could check out where they went to. There was some cave.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we could go explore it. I don't know that we want to get into a fight with spirit platypus bears.
No, we shouldn't go into that cave. We need to stay out of that cave.
That sounds like we need to go into that cave.
No, the dark spirit touched my head, it gave me a vision. A cave. And it's not that cave, but it is a cave, and that makes me think we should probably just stay out of the cave.
What did you see in this cave?
I saw a glowing symbol, like that one, except glowing.
That one is glowing.
Yeah, it's glowing reasonably brightly. Not as brightly as old man thinks, but brightly.
It's definitely
No,
quite bright.
it's definitely not glowing.
I promise you it's glowing. Just because you cannot see it.
Yeah, it's glowing. I look down.
Okay. Regardless, maybe you guys see it as glowing. Maybe that thing did something with me and it messed up my vision. But either way, it doesn't matter. We shouldn't go into that cave.
Well, I would like to,
if
if at all possible, I'd like to figure out why spirits have decided to attack farms and now the village. We're going to need to, at some point, confront spirits to figure that out.
Well, in the vision I saw it, I heard a voice, and it said, "It's coming."
Well, we better not let it come here. Best head it off at the pass.
I don't know if these spirits are running from this thing or if they're just minions making preparations for it.
Perhaps we can get some answers.
Yeah, either way, it sounds like we probably want to know what specifically is coming. Plus, it seems sort of clear that some spirits are going to just come back and start attacking again. And I don't care if they attack the rich people, but poor people live here too. Although maybe we can at least convince them to, attack the military, chase them out of the town.
And speaking of which, where was the military? Isn't that their whole thing, that they're supposed to be here to protect the town?
Yeah, that's a good question. Did we see any soldiers as these things are attacking, fleeing or
I
otherwise?
forgot.
No, you didn't.
That is a good point, Jijin, because it seems almost as if they knew this was coming, so that they could clear out.
Of course, I did notice that that newly dug latrine goes right towards that cave. Maybe they're angry. But why then wouldn't they just attack a camp? I don't know. I really feel like we need to go in there.
So, at about that time, you see running from the north, which is the direction of the camp. You see 4 people. They're two men and two boys. They have the platinum shackles on their wrists. You'd recognize these people you saw that were taken prisoner. And they're running, and they see you guys, and they head your direction, and they're like, spirits destroyed the camp. They carried off some of the guards, or some of the soldiers. We managed to escape and avoid them, but what happened here? Is everything okay? And they look in horror as they see houses knocked down, and some people I guess the screams would be subsiding, but they'd at least see kind of things are the town has been semi-destroyed, or at least
Spirits attacked here too, but we were able to not necessarily drive them off, but get them to give up. Drove some of them off. 2 spiritual platypus bears, however, we more or less just had to talk to until they lost interest in destroying things.
Did you see what kinds of spirits were attacking?
Several. It looked like several bears, several platypus bears. Some of the soldiers got cut down. Some of them ran.
Do you know where they were carried off? The others were carried off to. You said they carried some away.
I didn't see. I just ran. you know when you don't have a whole lot of options, you're just taking what you can get.
But all right, we'll get you somewhere to sleep at least. Or do you have a home here, I suppose?
Yeah, hopefully. As they turn, look around, see if their house is
The
one of
shackles
ones.
still on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need a key for your chains.
They don't have a key. But and they look around, and they eventually make eye contact with you, Zakshik. And it's would you be able to take these off? Like you did with Kaya.
Did everyone get out of the tent or not?
Yeah, this was the remaining 4 people that were in the tent.
Oh, okay. I thought there was more. Okay. So yeah, I take out my torch and cut them like I did the other ones.
Okay. We'd be able, you're able to cut through them. And with that, he's like, thank you. Well, I'm gonna go tell the mayor what happened. Looks like we'll need to regroup as a town to rebuild and figure out what to do next. And I think that's a good place. To end for tonight. Yeah, I think that's a good place to end for tonight.
Sounds good.
So, Mike, at the end of each session, we go through our growth questions, and if your character can answer them, then you get a growth mark, and if you get 4 of them, you get 4 growth marks. So you get a growth advancement. So there are 3 questions that everybody apply to everybody, and then there's a playbook specific question. So did your character learn something challenging, exciting, or complicated about the world? If you can answer yes to that question, then you get to mark a growth.
And I think we all did. We learned that there's something coming. Something that's sending spirit platypus bears to knock down buildings. On the other hand, the spirit platypus bears also killed the military and carried them off, so they're friendly-ish.
And did you stop a dangerous threat or solve a community problem? I think that's a no-brainer.
We stop it or delay it?
Now, for the purposes of the episode, you can say you stopped it. Did you seek support or guidance from others? Or no, did you guide a companion towards balance or end the session at your center? Well, Shijin did try to guide, not a companion, but a bear. So I would say that counts for Shijin, Shijin in that case.
Okay, cool.
And then you have a playbook specific growth question. And if you can answer yes to that, then you'll have if you can answer yes to that, then you can mark another mark. After you get 4 marks, then you can choose a growth advancement. They do stack. They don't go away. So if you get 3 this time, and then you get 1 next episode, then that counts for your growth advancement. And we can handle taking growth choosing the growth advancement offline. But was anybody able to answer all 4 questions today?
No, I wasn't.
Not me.
But I think.
But yeah, Tony and Peter were both at 3 from last time.
Yeah, so you guys should.
So
you guys get a growth advancement.
I don't get growth.
That's right. You don't grow.
You're all growth down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm already old.
Yeah, but Sakshik gets a growth advancement. Get 1, and then the other two would be applied. You have 2 growth advancements towards the next 2 growth marks against the next advancement.
So when we're advancing, like, do I have to? Are the growth points like specific to each question? Like, next time, do I have to get my playbook specific growth question, or is it just we ask them all again and we just add them up again and just total?
The latter.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, yeah, and yeah, you can choose up to 8 growth advancements, and then after that, like you basically you can't grow anymore. There's a chapter in about it about what happens, but
Right.
yeah.
But yeah, there are 8. There are basically 4 things that you can only take twice, but you can also raise stats up to a max of +2.
Yeah.
So that you could take more than twice for most people.
Yeah, that's true.
Didn't mean to put that in the chat, but all right.
Cool.
All right. Cool.
So yeah, it's getting late. Thank you for playing.